Hello and welcome. This is Koi for Clash of Interests, and today I'm bringing you something a little bit different, something a little bit more exciting than usual, and it's gonna be a deck profile. For the first tournament that we will organize for the Hunting Discord server, we have decided to stay in the realm of secrets and seekers. So only the first set is allowed for it, and that limits our options tremendously, actually. And there are, but still, the card pool isn't that bad. We have like 200 cards, close to 200 cards, I think, something like that. And 50% is for good, 50% evil. And yeah, with this deck, we are trying to accomplish board invincibility in a sense. Or it's a very like board controlling deck. That's why in the thumbnail of the video you will see like lots of chess pieces and the sniper and whatnot. Because our idea is really just to summon like two very specific cards. One is Dante and the other is Santiago, as well as some minor heroes that accomplish more or less the same goal but are way weaker. But we are trying to swoop them in, attack for one, and safeguard them, like put them back. And basically, it's like a bishop in chess, just staring down the board. And as soon as your opponent just misplays and like forgets that one of their pieces were defending their pawns, you run in there, back, and take out that pawn. That's kind of the strategy we are going here for. And don't expect to win every game. This is by no means like a super meta deck, at least in my opinion. But again, since we are only playing one set, every deck is really nerfed, especially suits. Suit, like Recruiter, Greer, is extremely nerfed. And so we have actually a playing chance with this. And so I'll give you like a big, a shell of the deck. I will show you the few cards like that we are revolving our engine around, and then the problems that we'll come up with. And in the last piece, I will probably like show you a few cards that your opponent might play that you have to look out for, or that it's really advantageous to play. Since we can't really outsmart our opponent with many spells or something. We have to really play cautiously. And again, you are attacking something, and they usually have enough attack to like your attacks are going to be kamikaze more than anything else. So you can't really uptrade with fighting. You have to uptrade with value. So again, a suit deck without a Greer doesn't work. So you sweep in there, kill the Greer, run out. That's basically the idea here. So, our main combos will be Dante Vale, the Private Investigator, which combos perfectly with Hyperstride. Hyperstride is basically just a move, like Hyperstride itself draws your card, so it replaces itself, already a great card, just because of that. Or like, it's not a bad card, just because of that. And since you go again, it's basically like moving and not necessarily attacking, because then technically Dante, since he does, even if Hyperstride is an exhaust action, Dante does ready himself after Hyperstride. So you can move towards, like, imagine summoning Dante in zone 1, move him to forward with Hyperstride, and after that you have a lot of options actually. If your opponent like overextended one of the major heroes for that, you just use Mega Punch. You exhaust the Dante, and you just KO that for free. On the other hand, you can technically walk or like go up to zone 4 or 5 if they do not have many blockers, or if you have a Kipper in around. In that cases, you can just walk up to zone 5 with your opponent, kill something there. Not with Mega Punch, but with a regular attack. So obviously with regular attacks, you have to look out for your opponent might play some stuff like Bolt Flare, or, all different types of combat actions. For example, even retaliation. So if they might find themselves like having very good cards that they really need to keep, but put to an end, like put to the wall, they cannot keep them, they will trade you off with retaliation. Even though they go -1 because of that. Then we have our second combo, and that's going to be Santiago, the Stealthy Guardian. And he's unblockable. So that's usually, it's like a little bonus, but you don't really take cards just because of they're unblockable. But this one is kind of important because of our strategy. And also he has Ninja Ambush. When he starts a combat, he might stun a enemy minor hero. So you can, and actually he's quite beefy. Like you have to imagine 5 defense goes. He doesn't get killed by another minor hero. So if you see like 2 suits around or like 2 minor heroes around, you swoop in there, you stun one of them, and then you attack the other one. So at least your Santiago survives and recovers. Maybe next turn you can run around with him even more. Then we have the quick getaway, because now this one specifically has a synergy with Santiago. It states it's a combat action, and it says if a target friendly hero would be KO'd in this combat, stun it and put it into zone 1 instead. And then if you have Santiago, then it's not even a neg 1. Actually, it never is a neg 1, but actually you plus with it. So usually imagine having a Santiago and a quick getaway, and you would kamikaze Santiago into your opponent's heroes, right? So you trade your Santiago for another card, exactly 1-for-1. Now you would use quick getaway, using like 1 card from your hand to save one of your heroes. So even if it wasn't Santiago, you would just replace it. This thing would just replace or be a monster reborn in a sense, keeping your heroes alive while still killing your opponents. But you're coming with Santiago, so you draw a card with that. So you go +1. And sadly enough, this is basically our only +1 that there is. All other cards don't really only replace themselves at best, but seldomly go further than that. And then we have a third in-theme card, and that's Rapid Charge. It basically does the same as Hyperstride, but not really. So Hyperstride has the ability of obviously going again, and the combo ability with Dante. Rapid Charge is more here, so for the thing that you have to plan it this way. When you play chess, sometimes you fianchetto your opponent, your bishop. For those that don't know it, okay, maybe that's a little bit dumb for the people that don't know. It's a bit difficult to imagine, but okay. So you would just simply move your bishop just a little bit, such that they have access to both axes, so they can go to every other diagonal possible, and that's basically Rapid Charge. Your opponent usually knows, alright, and can stay out of range. Your opponent will plan around your monsters. That's how you play the game. You put maybe turn 1, you put your cards in zone 2. Instead of zone 3, you just chill out here, and such that next turn you have the reach on zone 4 on your opponent without their zone 1s having reach to your zone 2. Same goes for them. They do the same type of reasoning. But the thing is, Rapid Charge throws that out the window. Because now you walk free with it, and it replaces itself. So, Rapid Charge doesn't lose your card, it just stays the same. You have the same card advantage. And thus, any card in your zone 2 with maybe Unblockable can still reach zone 5 without any problems. That's why it's there. Then I will actually go through the spells first, and then to the minor heroes. Namely, we have Research. I personally just love this card too much. It replaces itself, but it replaces itself with a specific card in your next 4 cards. And that's basically the next 2 turns. You draw 2 cards, so the next 2 turns you can look into the future. Then we have Call for Backup, because we do have quite a bunch of minor heroes that we will play. As we will play only these 2 major heroes at 3, and very few spells, to be honest. So Call for Backup will have quite a great usability for it. And also it says go again, so that's a pretty good thing too. Then we have Bolt Flare. Bolt Flare is basically a must for a very good deck. It says to draw a card. It's a combat action, and it draws your card, so it replaces itself. Never forget, that's great. And, well, it stuns a target enemy minor hero. And you might think that's not that strong, but again, we are trying to kamikaze, we're mostly kamikazing our Santiagos and Dantes into our opponent's field to uptrade in value. And if they survive, that's even better, because sometimes you can even retreat them. That's obviously awesome. And well, quick getaway can plus you with that. So you see, like, our strategy is really like consolidated in very few cards, and thus this is one of the decks that I will really advise you to keep on 40 cards. Just keep them at 40. Because I'm usually very liberal on this. 42, 45, that's still fine. If you have lots of draw card, maybe in 48. And this time, no, try to keep it at 40. And so our lineup of minor hero cards will be a little bit changing, and you have to decide on what cards to play yourself, or not so what cards, but at what amounts. So there is the LeBlanche. LeBlanche is pretty good with the Bring the Cavalry. It allows you to play a second major hero from round 3 and onwards. So, 2 Dantes on the field. If your opponent stares on a field of 2 Dantes, that's really scary. 2 things that can just jump in with your unknown Hyperstrides and just kick everything. Yeah, no, or I guess Mega Punch everything. No. That's a bit too scary. And also, you have to think, since we don't have that many control or that many good action cards, lots of opponents will play Dark Sleep, or every control strategy will probably play Dark Sleep to uptrade in value. So if you want to read it, it states, return target hero that's up to 2 zones away from me to its owner's hand. And so, they will plant something in zone 2, and then if you just advance or summon a hero in your zone 5, maybe walk with it, they will just kick it back to your hand, and your turn with a major hero has just been destroyed. Basically, or more so than uptrading value, it's like setting you back with a tempo. So that's why Dark Sleep is kind of good, and you might even want to play it in this deck a little bit, since you can shuffle your cards around pretty easily. You might want to play this yourself. But on the other hand, maybe it's a bit overkill. You're running in with these 2 guys. Maybe you don't need like a third option with this. And Dark Sleep doesn't draw you a card, so yeah, you're kind of hoping that your opponent clogs up his hand with too many major heroes. Yeah. And so, it's kind of like saving your deck. So if they play a Dark Sleep on your Santiago or on your Dante, you will just, obviously round 3 or later, you will re-summon LeBlanche or summon LeBlanche and re-put one of them onto the field, saving a turn, or like at least doesn't set you back that much. Then we have Pan. He's a 3/2. Or yeah, sure, LeBlanche is a 2/2. That's not that important. It's really the effect. Then we have Pan. It's a 3/2. That's, the basic stats for like minor heroes is either 2/2 and go up to a 3/3. That's like the usual thing. But this guy, Madness, kind of does something similar like Santiago with his Ninja Ambush. He just stuns an enemy minor hero. So technically speaking, if you can't get rid of all the threats of your opponent has, you can just get rid of them like temporarily, but long enough to win you the game. Then we have Daktari. He's a 3/2, again just like Pawn, but he has sudden arrival. So he states, you may play me from your hand into a zone whose number is the same as the round number. And obviously, usually yes, this guy can land into your opponent's round or like zone 5. The thing is, by round 5, you most likely have either reached a state of the field that is very advantageous to you, or you are extremely losing to it. So that's seldomly gonna happen. Not gonna happen. That's seldomly gonna happen. But round 3 is usual when people start really clashing the cards on the board, and having something that can start around here, that's amazing. That's amazing. He can walk up to zone 5, technically speaking, and start a combat there. That's basically the same as putting him in round 5. Then we have 3 options. One is Influxion. She has Tidal Wave, and namely, like, technically she's a 0/3, but not really, as She just has her attack value as the zone she's in. And so what does that mean? That means usually you will fight here in zone 3, so she is just a simple 3-3. Not too great, like imagine a 3-3 with no effect, that's not that great. That's like a basic Miss Thorpe suit. Not doing much, just attacking and defending a little bit. On the other hand, while you are winning, and if you will crash your opponent's cards in zone 4 or 5, you might just run into major heroes with it. So you might kill either a knife. Wait, I can show you them actually. You can either kill a Morgan the Knife with his 4 defense, or you can even kill a Greer for the suit deck. Professor, I think, has 5. Yeah, he has 5 def. So if you can run up to the last stage, if they summon something and you can walk up with Influxion, then you can even kill a Professor with it. So you might want to go that. You might take more Influxions than Doctaris. So you can change around the ratios how you want them actually. I actually tend to play more Influxions in this case. And then there are these two guys. These are only here for support. Their stats, I mean, right? Chariot doesn't have that bad of stats, to be honest. But he has Taxi, so he can be exhausted to just have like a new entry point. Usually you would plant your cards in zone 1, but with that, imagine like in round 1 you play a riderless Chariot and then just park them in zone 2. From now on, every game you could just summon your cards in here, and now that means Rapid Charge can reach all of the time into zone 5, or just walking normally into zone 4. On the other hand, that means even your Dante in zone 2 can just Hyperstride into zone 4 and use Mega Punch on something there. So that's a great positional card. But, I come to the buts later. Also, we have Kipperin. He just provides unblockable to everything. There's a similar card with, it's a good action with Chariot on it. It's Avoidance, which gives all friendly heroes unblockable. That's kind of very similar to what Kipperin does, except that you don't have to use it as an exhaust action, but it can still be there and used in the next turns. And to be honest, like, nobody's gonna attack these two. Like, if you park them in zone 2, or I guess Kipperin in zone 1, nobody's gonna bother running up there to just get rid of your small little minor heroes, not doing anything for the game itself, just providing as a field spell, basically. Yeah. The thing is, and now come the big buts, since we are playing with SAS only, we are missing 4 crucial cards to this deck. One is Request for Aid, and it searches your deck for minor heroes. That's why I usually only play 1 Kipperin and 1 Riderless Chariot, or at least, like, I get what means usually, but in a sense you would only play 1 and 1 because they are easily searchable. Like, if you put 3 Requests for Aid into your deck, you basically have 4 copies of both of them, and you can get one when you need them and the other, well, like, you can just get them when you need them. And so the thing is, since you don't have that, what do we do now? Do we play a bunch of those? Maybe multiple Chariots? But multiple Kipperins, they really suck. I am sorry, but this Kipperin version really isn't that good. Just a field spell. As soon as you have one, everything. If you draw a second or a third copies, they just do nothing for you. The other card is Never Lost. It searches you a Seeker. So the same thing goes for Santiago and Dante. So when you need one of them, at least you get them. And obviously you have to imagine, we are trying to draw in combos. So the probability of drawing a Dante in your first 5 cards is around 30% in a 40 card deck. Together with Hyperstride, you have the same probability. So you aren't going reliably to draw both of them. At least if you have Never Lost, you have 6 copies of Dante and 3 copies of Hyperstride. And so that means drawing a Dante turn 1 is around like 55% chance. Something like that. I mean, I don't remember the numbers on my heart. I will link in the description a calculator on which you can it's a handy tool for everyone that is trying to deck build something. And same goes for Santiago and Quick Getaway. Then the other card is Hydrolash, and it's another moving card which draws you a card. Just like Hyperstride and Rapid Charge, this one going again, this one giving you a third movement option, or like, yeah. And Hydrolash stunning a enemy hero. Hero, not minor hero, hero. That means if you, like for example, they have a knife there, you run up, you can stun, and you can still do something else, technically speaking. So you can still attack something else there. So, yeah, Hydrolash, sad to see it gone or not having it in this rotation. And also Warrior Stance. This is something similar to Quick Getaway, and I mean, it's in theme, it shows Shinobi. Yeah, sure. But you get the point. Like, we have a bunch of cards that we could play, unfortunately can't. So what could we add to this deck? How it looks like now, this deck, I'm not sure how many cards there are. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 36 cards as a deck core. That's quite a lot. That's at this point probably not a core, but just a full blown out deck. But again, you can choose your cards yourself. You can take away Pawn, take away Le Blanches or Dactaris and add something else, however you want it. You can add more. You can add more controlling aspects. So there's always Break Spell, negating one of your opponent's action cards. There is Spider Touch, exhausting enemy heroes. There is Dark Sleep, again, putting major heroes your opponent controls back to their hand, putting them back a turn. There is Retaliation, going plus in value, still just the same. Get rid of major heroes or get rid of minor heroes that are too strong for you. And there's also Scolopin. Scolopin, that's one of my favorites cards. It has Clone. It basically, if you're playing enough actions or exhaust actions, Scolopin becomes really important. Just being parked in zone 1 or 2, just as fodders to be able to activate more exhaust actions. So yeah, these are kind of more control-y aspects you can add to your deck. But for now, it's really just mostly controlling the board by attacking. And in theme, and also, I mean, it's a positional theme. So there are a few cards which still are very positionals and can be other options you can add to your deck. For example, a Kiltane. Kiltane with Knight's Charge, in round 3 or later, he can be added to one of your heroes, or like into a zone one of your heroes is already in. So again, just like Taxi, or like Rathalos Chariot with ability Taxi, which you will park in zone 2, you can put this guy like Dactari into your opponent's zone, or like the farthest you go, and you just add this guy. It's a 5/4, pretty strong. You can get rid of 2, sometimes even 3 in ready fringe cases of your minor heroes with just 1 attack, going +2 with that. Then there is Shinobi, again, movement, and I guess Santiago needs his Titan, doesn't he? Also, he can move up to 3, kind of like this, and also it means, in zone 2 he reaches everything, or like, if you have a Taxi there, you summon and you can attack anything you want with it. Then there is this one, Phaeon. She is also unblockable, and she has only 1 defense, so she will 100% die whenever she's attacking. The same can be said for a lot of other options though, like even Dactari and Influxion will most likely get KO'd whenever they fight. But Phaeon can, with her ability Knockback, move one of your opponent's heroes just 1 back, such that they get out of the fight, and you have better options with it maybe. And there are pretty cool tricks that you can do, because since you have some unblockable opponents, you can run in further than you really want to. So imagine they have an opponent, a enemy hero in zone 3, you walk past them to zone 4, and Phaeon goes past them, or goes into zone 3, shoves one back to zone 4, and then you, for example, Mega Punch it. That's a bit advanced thinking already, and it's a very situation, so it's not gonna happen all the time. And the problem of the deck is really you can't go plus. There's nothing that really pluses you. This one with Santiago pluses you something, and all of the other cards are basically the same amount of cards in your hand and the same amount of cards on your field, and you just have to uptrade in value. But unfortunately, that goes for most of the card pool that we have for SAS, except of complete 2 cards. One is Sophie Casterville, the Know-It-All. Literally, it's her ability Know-It-All. And the other one is Recruiter. And the third one is Jack the Knife. Not Jack. Moron? No. I always forget his first name. Morgan the Knife. Right. I just call him the Knife. These are like the 3 cards that will go plus. And all of the other one will just be caveman gameplay. Just attacking. Going, not plus, but just equal with other controlling cards. And there's Golopin, but again, he's a 1/1. He's not really here for attacking, just for your ability to use more spells. And that's why I think I might even add Tersleys. They have an exhaust action. If they are in the same zone as enemy heroes, you can draw 2 cards with him. So he has to be played very safely. Or in a sense, it forces your opponent to kill him or to KO him. But if he's not, or if you can block your opponent's KOing with Bolt Flares or with, similar cards, then you can activate his ability and +2 actually. Or if he dies in the turn after, you +1 only. But I think it's worth it. So what you will do is, if your opponent just recklessly uses all of their cards and they don't have much to do, they will pass, right? And so it becomes your turn, and then you can summon a Thursley, then becomes their turn again, they pass again, and then you move Thursley forward, use his draw effect, get 2 cards off, and then you can play with those. So you have to be extremely safe with Thursley. And if you're not, you just have to use him as a body. He's a 2/2, so it's not bad, and it's not good either. And also for the effect. That's basically all of the options that you can add to your deck. The card pool is a little bit bigger, but these are in-theme cards that there are. Also, there's Earthtide, but beware, this card can be a bit, tricky to play, because it states all heroes. And as I remember the rulings, how I remember them, even your opponent get these. So they get exhaust action and stun target heroes. And if they just stun their little minor heroes to get rid of, or at least for a turn get rid of your Santiagos and Dantes, you will be extremely mad for it. And same goes for the second wind card. This one. It states that unstun and ready all heroes. So it can undo the whole round, and you have to if your opponent doesn't know about it, nice. Very nice. You can just play it, and then you play all around it, and they're gonna be super, super salty after it. But yeah, it says all heroes. So when do you have to play second wind? When you're basically already winning so much on the board that your pluses outplay your opponent's pluses with the second wind. Right. Imagine them having a knife in their zone 2. That can +1, +2 again. And the same goes for Tursley, actually. So you can use this ability twice, technically speaking. But yeah, I will not advise you that. Also, there's Honor Guard. Honor Guard is another option you can put in here. It's just basically running in with Santiago, trying to stay alive. He's already beefy with 5, but making him 7 defense is extremely beefy. And the thing is, then they will summon something else and attack you again, your Santiago. And I guess then you might trade with them and then quicker getaway. So it is an option, but it becomes a lot more situational than the rest. Or also, the other good thing about Honor Guard is you can keep your Influxian around. So again, if you put her in zone 5, if you are able to run her up to zone 5 and attack your opponent's cards, at least you have that. You can Honor Guard it, make it a 5/5 essentially, and if they summon something else again and attack you again, or you attack them, at least you got rid of one more card for them. And the thing is just on the card, if it said draw a card and remove 2 enemy attacks, that would be amazing. But unfortunately it doesn't. I will show you in the next segment what cards to look out for and what to kill on sight. So these are the cards you have to look out for. These are probably matchups you will find yourself playing against. Yeah, so I already discussed why these two are a problem. They will just plus of you, out of you every turn. If their deck is built strong enough, and more so if they have a McTavish. So, there are some minor heroes you have to look out for. Mostly McTavish. Where's the guy? This guy. He can be a real big pain with Greer. And it's kind of you have to kind of decide which one is the bigger threat. In the long run, if you get rid of all of the 3/3 Greers your opponent has, it's usually better. But if you can get rid of McTavish, you are already happy with it too. In the sense that since McTavish, once they have like 2 or 3 suits in the graveyard, they will always kamikaze them into your board, such that they go to the discard pile. Use McTavish, put all of it back to the deck, and then have 3 Greers parked in zone 1 that will just resummon all of the 3 suits. So that is a +3 every single turn, and that's a problem. So you have to get rid of these 2 very fast. And the same goes for Sophie, but she doesn't have the same. How should I put it? Why are these 2 sticking now? There you go. But she can't just manipulate the deck, so she has to rely on randomness. So she's slightly less problematic than Greer. Then we have Ymir. Ymir has kind of something similar with ice creatures. Your opponent can have up to 3 ice creatures around, kamikaze them, and the next turn. I mean, yes, sure. When Ymir comes to play, he has to discard a card, but it's just a one-time payment in that sense for a potential of +3 every turn. So Ymir has to die, and the thing is, he's really beefy. He has 5 attack. So how do you get rid of him? You have to run in with Dante and use Mega Punch, and that's kind of the risky part of it. You have to either like have a Chariot in zone 3 and Hyperstride your Dante into it, or that's why I kind of suggest still playing some Dark Sleeps, because at least then you can have something in zone 3 and just put it back to the hand. Sure, you still have to deal with the ice creatures, but they have to again discard a card if they want to use Ymir. So it becomes a problem. It can be delayed as a problem. Then we have the Iron Monkey. Honestly, it's not going to be that great. Same thing, when they come into play, they have to eliminate the friendly major heroes, so they can't even discard action cards. They have to get rid of a hero. And into 6/6, so that's extremely beefy too. And usually how they get to Iron Monkey is with the innate effects. So there's Hector. Hector will just put it zone 3. No, wait. At the start of round 5, you may search your deck for an Iron Monkey card and put it into my zone. So they will. And actually there is another guy. Numbers. Yeah, Numbers. In round 3, he will get the Hector out, and the Hector will get rid of the Numbers, and the Iron Monkey will usually get rid of the Hector, or if they have some like useless minor hero around, they will get rid of that one. But it's a self-contained thing. But in round 5, as I stated before, it's kind of difficult to still feel like the game is not yet over. Like most of the games are decided by then, and you can just hang in there or maybe play for a draw in certain missions. But yeah, Iron Monkey is quite the beefy guy. You have to overwhelm them with multiple opponents, with multiple of your cards. So maybe a Daktari and a Santiago in there is just enough for 6 damage. But yeah. Then we have Klaus. Klaus with his strike mode. I mean, I find it to be a meme. He gets 4 defense if he strike mode, so he's never gonna die in case he strike modes. And if you don't know strike mode, let me look it up for you. strike mode. It says he just adds 4 attack to a combat. And that can get rid of your plants really fast. And this guy being an 8/8, if they have it in hand, they can just get rid of your whole board. Like, you can have 3 heroes in here in a zone, maybe even 4 or 5, and he will get rid of all of them in one straight swing, and potentially even survive because of his 8 defense. But a very hard combo to get off, and strike mode on the rest of the turn will just keep them 1 card alive. It's questionable. Most likely in control deck, which you might be able to overwhelm. Also, yeah, that's why Morgan is here. He has investigate. As an exhaust action, he can draw 2 cards, just like the Tursley, but without the stipulation of having to have an opponent in there. So your opponent will just summon a Morgan in turn 1. Turn 1, walk them 1 forward to zone 2, and then just park them there forever. And every turn they will just draw 2 cards off of it. They draw basically 4 cards. They are, every time you wait with it, they are 1 turn advanced. Not with the amount of major heroes there are in there, but still. Then there's Professor. Professor is similar to Dante. When he plays Slipstream, he gets readied. And Slipstream is kind of a broken Hyperstride. Not a broken Hyperstride. Oh, I guess that too, but more so a problematic Rapid Charge. Because it just says, draw a card, put me into any zone. But he can't start a combat. So the Professor can just get into your zone 5. Just be there. Just chill there. And now you have to deal with a 4/5. How do you deal with a 4/5 within 1 turn? Whatever you will summon in there, if you don't have anything else, he just kills it. He just kills it. And it can be, you can have a Shinobi around, or even a Santiago. And your Santiago is going to survive, yes. Your Dante is not going to survive. You're just summoning Dante just to trade 1-for-1 with Professor. And also he may stun target when he starts the combat. So even if you were to summon a Dante and he doesn't attack you, you summon something else there. Now you have the problem that he can still just attack you, block one of your creatures for the turn, and creatures. I'm messing up with Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! In this game. But you can just stun one of your heroes, just deal with it next turn, and just for free kill the other card. And they can uptrade in value tremendously. So how do you get rid of this? Very difficult. You have to basically survive with a quick getaway, or you might even survive with this one. Instead of attacking directly, you will put a hero in there, and they will just wait, such that you put the second one and get full value out of their Mind Blast. And so at that point, you have to surprise them with Call for Backup, put a minor hero card in there, going again, and then attacking you. So that's kind of the difference. Since this one is go again, you are up a tempo instead of Helios, so you can keep something unstunned. Then we have the control deck with Zalia. Her thing is Spider Touch. Spider Touch was one of my options I showed you here earlier. It's this one. It exhausts 2 heroes on the field. So it's basically just trying to tempo you out. You can summon as many cards as you want. If she Spider Touches you, that's just 2 cards that are just chilling there. You can go attack them. They still add their attacks to a combat, so they're not completely gone. But at least the thing is, they can't do anything else. So your pawn stays there. Your Dante is just stuck there. He can't Mega Punch anything. And Fluxion with only 3 defense gets overwhelmed really easily with it. So that's why Zalia can be a little bit of a problem. And if you are staring down on her board, what do you then? If you see her, you have to summon only one thing. You summon a hero, and then usually they will not Spider Touch you, because Spider Touching for 1 is kind of a waste. And so you're kind of safe with the probability that they will just not activate it, and then you use your exhaust actions with them, or again Mega Punch or walk forward with them. then you're summoning something else and do their actions first, piece by piece, such that they never see two of your heroes at the same time, active at the same time. And also, you might be surprised how superb reading and drawing a card might be. And the same goes for Dante. If you can win, I think, the retrieve, or I guess deliver the Ring of Arc in round 1 if you have Zalias and Dantes with enough fuel. And yeah, so that's kind of a problem there. Then there's Sabriel. I mean, she usually doesn't get a deck around her, but it's just there as like a 1, maybe 2 of, like part of the strategy, but not really, and mostly just a body that can survive for long enough to have them build a field because of her survival counter. So what she does is basically she gets a free get out of jail free card for every summon. And the thing is, Dark Sleep doesn't really get around with it. You just put it in the hand and the counter goes with it, and when they summon it again, the counter comes back on. So yeah, can't do much, you just have to fight it. So, and it only has 3 defense, so that's kind of a thing you can look out for and exploit. You can just run in a pawn in there, attack it, stun maybe something else around it, and so such as Saber loses her token, and then again you run in with some other, like, dare I say it, like cannon fodder. Yeah, so that's why kind of Saber will always uptrade at least 1 card with it, so that can be quite a problem. Then there's Montague. Beefy Montague. So the idea with that deck is they use a bunch of exhaust actions every turn, and they just chill with it. And not even that. So sometimes they will even play Sandra just as a backup, because you may... Oh no, wait, it's a minor hero. Wait. No, I'm wrong here. No, it's one of the cards in the other sets. But you can ready this guy and then use another exhaust action card. Make him beefy really early, but it loses extremely fast to Dark Sleep. Again, just put it into hand and it loses all its counters. So it can be an 8/8 after 4 rounds, and you just swoop it back to the hand and say, nope, sorry, you just waste 4 rounds with that. So you can get around that really easily. Then there is Gargoyle. He has aggression, so that's kind of a problem. When he starts combat, he can't be KO'd. So, kind of like Sabriel. I mean, it's kind of a similar concept of the outcome, at least. You can just kill at least 2 cards with it. So, Sabriel, again, can attack something, will survive anyways, and then will attack again, retaliate on the next turn or the next battle. And same goes with Gargoyle. We'll run in with Gargoyle, attack something. He will obviously survive because of his effect, and then your opponent has to deal with it somehow. He has to run in again. And yes, it only has 3 defense, so it will lose to a pawn. It will lose to a Dactari. It will lose to lots of things. But it's still a problem card to deal with it. And also there's Caliban. And Caliban goes... I doubt anyone will play like a pure Caliban deck, since we only have this one Caliban, because at least at the start of each round they have to discard a card, and so it's not a 1-turn payment like Ymir, which will plus you at least for the rest of the game. Caliban will just lose you a card every turn, and that basically means, put in other words, it means instead of drawing 2 cards, you will just only draw 1 card per turn. And yeah, that's gonna be a problem. But at least the saving grace is discarding Calibans makes you redraw a card. So yeah, it's not that much of a problem, because usually at least you have. I'll show you how many Calibans you usually have. Here you get the Superb Warrior and you get the Atlantean Warrior, Atlantean Titan. So you have another 6 copies of Caliban that you can just exploit for the draw engine with. Yeah, so that's that's most likely most of the cards you have to deal with. The other things, I mean, minor heroes aren't that big of a threat, to be honest. Tremaine can be a bit like annoying. In her zone, if she just survives and she has 4 defense, so sometimes she just survives, she has a free action to just exhaust target heroes in her zone. So if she can be forward enough in your zone, she just like turn after turn, she just puts something out of order and just waits around there. But yeah, you can run over it pretty fast since exhausted hero still add their combat and to the still add their attacks to combat. If they were to stun or like, if they were to exhaust something, the next card you put in there will usually overwhelm her. There's one more draw engine card for evil, namely Akmen Meo. As an exhaust action, you draw one and you discard one. Eh, eh, eh. Do you really want to kill this? I mean, you probably should at one point, but it's not worth running your Santiago in there just for an Akmen Meo. And yeah, the others aren't that strong either. I hope someone is gonna play a Ferric Warbringer deck because it just looks so fun. It says whenever you play an action card, reveal the top, and if it's the same card, you keep it. But it's just so absurdly inconsistent, and you don't profit really off of something being in the discard pile, except maybe the ice creature. That's the only thing you will have an advantage on. So if it mills an ice creature, at least Ymir will bring it back. That's about the only thing that there is. Yeah, Neptunia, you'd probably just leave it there. Yes, they will have to use their free action. It's not even if they just walk in a zone. Like you can, if they walk her into a zone, you can still just attack it and get rid of it before it can bounce you to the hand. So, yeah. And numbers. So if they were to play their Iron Monkey deck, you just get rid of numbers as early as you can. If you just see it go, swoop it in, that's the bulk of the strategy. And yeah, they lose that. And the reason why I said that I kind of doubt seeing too many suit decks will be just because there are only 2 suits, or like 3 suits. There's McTavish, the guy that puts the cards back on the top of the deck. Then there is this one, which has the combat action. And then there's this one, which has just a 3/3 without effect. And, you know, they all don't do that much, to be honest. And you aren't really scared of this Defoe. Sure, he can be readied over and over again by discarding suits, but yeah, that brings you only so far with negging cards. Yeah. So that's kind of the bulk of the idea here. The matchup's pretty clear. And that's why there are some pretty important cards I kind of suggest you playing, because they can be quite annoying and quite problematic for you. As we have seen, good opponents will probably play Dark Sleep because it is a good out to lots and lots of cards. And since it is that good, you might want to counter it yourself. Or I guess if you can't counter it, at least you have the same type of threats with Dark Sleeping your opponent. But yeah, that's why kind of Break Spell is kind of a good card with that. And if you want to go, like if you decide to just not care about all this stuff, there's always extra decodings to get your Hyperstride. So technically speaking, if you use a decode, like if you use all of your Hyperstrides, and I mean your opponent will look out for that. If you use all of the Hyperstrides, they know you are impossible to swoop in with Donsei and Mega Punch them. That's why you kind of want to have decoding, such to get back, and then you can just hold it. Because they will be extremely afraid of. So if they plan around it to just not get Mega Punched, you can put them in really just annoying situations with it. Because now they know you have it. Usually they don't even know it, and that is a mental aspect of mind gaming, that there already is kind of an advantage to be had, but if they know you have it, then they have to play around it, and then force them into lots of annoying positions. And Also, you can counter Spider Touch. So if you break spell, the Spider Touch, the question is how we rule it, because I've never actually seen it happen myself. And that's, wait, where is she? Here she is. Whenever I play Spider Touch, ready me and draw a card, and this says when your opponent plays an exhaust action, you cancel it. So she doesn't really play it, I guess. And since she doesn't play Spider Touch, she doesn't draw a card, and she doesn't get readied. So you can throw a wrench in there against Spider Touch. But again, if you then are adding all of these controlling cards, then I highly suggest you put a Scolopin in there. Just because, just being able to use more like action cards, like just if you have to waste a decoding on a Dante that's on the front lines, that's a super, super annoying card. Like, at least, you have Kipperin, 1 card per turn you can just put with that. But if you put just 2 copy, maybe even 3 copies of Scolopin, you still thin out your deck with it, and you are able to use whatever you want, whenever you want it. So that's kind of the idea here. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the deck. I hope maybe some of you will play it in the tournament, in the upcoming tournament, and will enjoy. I will probably put 1 or 2 other decks. Oh, and also, I mean, obviously, Breakspell has more targets than just Spider Touch and Dark Sleep. And it's a really positional game. You have to play chess against your opponents. Your bishops are insanely valuable, and that's why you kind of want to kamikaze your bishops into your opponent's rooks and queens, but not your opponent's pawns. That's the idea here. Until then, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.